Welcome back to another episode of Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail. We've just received a Distinguished Service Order, awarded to military commanders for exceptional service and valor. Now, John Jarvis has got 3 medals under his belt, and we have been absolutely ravaging the United States Continental Fleet and the French fleet, but now it looks like we have to actually fight them on the mainland. The army is ready to attack the city of Savannah, and this mission is part of our new strategy for capturing of the southern colonies, which was considered by the king as an object of great importance in the scale of the war. It seems that the rebel defences are stronger than anticipated, and our pickets have reported that they have a large perimeter force surrounded by artillery, which guards the approach to the city. If you're able to get past these forces, the remaining troops seem to be located near the city square. Approach with caution, eliminate these forces. This battle is crucial for the upcoming campaign and it is imperative that we succeed. A regiment of dragoons was sent to scout the area and will join you for this battle. For King and Country. Captain, the preservation of the Empire is threatened by a bunch of anarchists and criminals committing acts of rebellion and treason. The rebels have prepared fortifications at this position and their forces mostly consist of militia and a few artillery pieces. Let's offer them a taste of what a real army can do. Huzzah! Right, we'll get the dragoons up. That's our first instance of cavalry on our side. We have fought some dragoons before. They're not too useful, but for scouting and for dismounting and skirmishing they can be useful. Getting close to artillery and such. Alright, so we're going to bring up the main force. We have quite a contingent of fusiliers. And I've started transitioning my forces to grenadiers as well, although they don't seem to have any actual grenades. Grenadiers from Total War Empire were really good. They threw pots of explosives just before the final charge. Really powerful. Nonetheless, grenadiers in this game, they have very good melee stats and very good morale. Much better than the standard troop, though they just cost a lot more. So we use them as a shock trooper. That way we don't really have to commit our ship's crew to much of the fighting. We can just reserve those guys for backline defense and keeping our artillery safe, or to plug any holes in the line that may form. They are much more valuable behind the helm of a ship. We will actually merge them together so we have a couple of manageable units. A couple of solid divisions. And that way we have less to micromanage. And they will be more effective. We can get 3 together on that group. I believe the max is 250. So where possible we will merge all the sailors together. We can kind of take our time. There doesn't seem to be any time limit. So we'll form up a nice long battle line. A few units thick. And we'll get our mortars into range as well. I've purchased mortars. I don't know how effective they'll be, but it seems to be the perfect opportunity to try them out. Entrenched position. Listening to the old flutist there. Marching to war. Dragoons have spotted some skirmishers. I'm pretty sure we're out of sight. So we'll creep some grenadiers and a unit of fusiliers up through that forest line. They do have artillery, so I'm hoping to be able to use my mortars against their artillery position. This tree line should give us some cover from the artillery pieces, in theory. Supply unit. This time we brought lots of supplies with us so we don't run out of ammunition. We have about 4,000 troops, which is quite a lot of troopers to take a town. I don't really know how much resistance we're going to face. So we'll take our time. We have spent a lot of resources to get a full army, so it's not wise just to throw them all away. We go. First contact with the skirmishers. They've run into our main battle line. They're not going to like that. 2 units of skirmishers hiding in the tree line there. The cannons have opened up on our mortars. Taken a bit of damage. Lost a man. Fusiliers have lost a man. The dragoons have also lost a trooper. Trying to push the mortars up a bit. They're not quite in range yet. We want them to be able to fire into the city after they take out the artillery, not just at maximum range. Start engaging those skirmishers. Fusiliers are in column formation through the forest. It's not very safe when you're facing an artillery piece. Try and line them up. Right, these Fusiliers here are crossing the field of fire of the artillery. Trying to get them a little bit closer. The skirmishers are recommitting just as our battle line emerges from the forest. They've unwittingly had themselves flanked. As long as we start evenly creep our line up, we shouldn't have any issues. We just need to hope that this artillery doesn't get any solid hits and cause a rout. The 2 sailor divisions are to the rear, and we've got the other 2 on the left flank. Dragoons are going to come down and keep scout overwatch. Not totally useful, like I said before. Maybe we might get a good solid charge into some people that are routing with them. Alright, we're just going to have to commit the line now. We're taking fire from the cannons with no reply. Our mortars have just opened up. Fusiliers have taken a fair bit of damage. 7 troops have died from the first barrage of our mortars. We'll keep the supply train up and get it close to the mortars so they have no issues with ammunition. And the first Fusiliers are breaking through the tree line in front of the cannons, who are distracted with our Fusiliers in the open field. If we time this right, we may be able to discharge straight up to the artillery piece and take it with bayonet charge. Most of our troops have sword bayonets, so we are pretty good in a hand-to-hand fight. And it's apparent that they have a fair amount of line there. We're going to stop and take a few shots. Grenadiers are firing on the Fusiliers. We've got some militia around the side, just appearing now in the tree line. Grenadiers will take contact with those. Dragoons will try and come and flank. See if we can get a charge in. And check out any more troops that may be in that tree line. First, Fusiliers have broken contact and have run away from a barrage of mortars. Found sailors in the tree line, guarding the flank of the town. Our first units of Fusiliers have taken a few casualties, but that's to be expected when facing artillery at about 100 yards. Keep our dragoons moving around the flank. We may get an opportunity for a rear charge here. We might be able to penetrate into the town. No, there are a lot of more troops in the center of the town. It's silly to think that that would remain unguarded, but we will go for a rear charge, I think. Quickly capitalize on this. Ideally, we should be charging from both sides, but let's get a charge happening. There we go. Division's going to move up and plug the gap that their grenadiers have left in our flank. Slowly getting closer to that artillery piece. The mortars are now putting pressure on them. This side of the town seems to be holding up pretty well. And we've had a rout on the side here. The dual charge seems to have paid off. And we are really messing up this militia unit. Looks like the skirmishers are countercharging. Get the dragoons onto them. No, it's too late. They have to charge their melee ability up. Okay. We've got division there covering their flank anyway. The artillery has shattered. Trying to get the dragoons out of the firing range. Grenadiers are going to open contact with that militia and start pushing forward. We've got a unit of Marines as well supporting them. So dragoons will move off to lose contact and then come around for another possible charge. That really worked well. Meanwhile, our line here is holding well. The artillery has fallen, so the pressure has released a little bit. This militia unit is being encircled. Skirmishers are trying to push up. They're being brave, but they don't have a lot of options at the moment. I'm going to bring the mortars up a bit closer and try and hit this massive infantry in the forest. Mortars were probably the right call on this map, as we don't have line of sight into the town. Mortars have opened up on the troops close to the front line. We've caused a mass rout here. Some of our Fusiliers are out of formation and taking rear fire. We're going to push these Fusiliers into the town and try and flank their sailors on the eastern flank there. Move some divisions up to plug that gap in the line. We have taken the supply cache in the center of town. And so those troops will now start to get some supplies back and increase their condition a bit. Meanwhile, on the western flank, things are looking good. We're going to push up and take this artillery piece if we can and try and repurpose to our own use. Turn it around and use some canister shot. Grenadiers are still holding strong. They're taking a few casualties, but doing way more damage. Way more damage than they've taken. 170 kills, those Grenadier units. We're a little bit clumped up here. It's not great. This Fusilier unit is exhausted and I've just ordered them to charge, so that's not ideal. Fortunately, they're charging a wavering unit. Skirmishers are trying to break their charge with some fire. Division, I'm going to use them to take over this artillery piece. Sorry, Fusiliers. Supply wagon will move up to help restock the main battle line. Dragoons are sitting there safe. We have a nice clump of infantry here. We should really press this advantage. We now have 2 supply caches in the town. They still have a significant amount of troops in this town itself. Eastern flank is now routing. I'm going to cause a charge on that and try and push them away. We'll get the divisions after them, the sailor divisions, and we'll reserve our Fusiliers for actual combat. Things are looking good along the battle line. Trying to press our advantage a bit more. There's a we have some enemy Dragoons pushing through and countercharging our division there as they were trying to move up. Fortunately, we have sword bayonets for nearly all of our troops, so they will be able to quickly put down those Dragoons. To reply to that, we might send our Dragoons in there to rustle up some danger against the skirmishers, perhaps. The enemy Dragoons have shattered now. Eastern flank is looking good. We do have a few stragglers out in the tree line there. Skirmishers or sailors. Our mortar unit has stopped firing for now. We're too busy micromanaging the main troops. We'll move them up a little bit. Fusiliers in reserve moving up. Very large clump of troops here. We're going to get a rear charge into this skirmisher unit at least. Try and mow through them. And the hope is to make them all crumble. Grenadiers firing on the militia so we don't get any friendly fire. Oh, we have a militia unit coming around from the north side. This could be dangerous for our Dragoons, but we have made one of the units crumble. We have been flanked there on the eastern flank. Wallace is taking combat with some sailors. His unit is surrounded. We don't have anything we can really do right now for that. Too concentrated on this side of the battlefield. We really need to break this clump of troops. Things are looking fairly good. We have taken a fair amount of casualties in some units of Fusiliers, but that's because we've had them committed to the battle mostly. We haven't really been cycling our troops out. That was my plan, but as is so often the case, plans do crumble with first contact. As long as you have a way to keep your overall objective in mind and keep pressing your advantage, we should be fine. Having the cannons there looking up the main street is really helping us. We're going to press our divisions into the town, using our Dragoons to try and flank. No, that's a bit risky. Supply wagon's about to run into contact. That's a silly move on my part. Fortunately, the Fusiliers did break before they made contact with the supply wagon. Wallace over there on the east. Oh, the Americans have fought bravely this time. That much is true. Our sailors have come to clean up the mess. It's time to regroup and resupply. Okay, we've just got a bunch of reinforcements. That's pretty cool. We'll try and get some order back into our formations. They seem to be retreating back to the center of the town proper. We're going to push the divisions up the main street here and try and get the mortars in a position to just rain fire across the buildings. Bring our divisions up in a solid line. We need to try and clear out the eastern side of the town as well. Wallace gave a good account of himself. He was surrounded at one point and I wasn't able to help him, but he managed to take out that unit of sailors. Very impressed. Good job, Wallace. We've got a division of sailors there now to assist him. Won't leave him on his own. Wallace is now engaged with the skirmishers, but we're going to bring him out. He's done a fair bit of fighting. We're going to bring some fresh troops in. We've got a lot of fresh sailors coming in. Marines, by the look of their unit cards. And we can form them into divisions as well, so that will make it easier to manage them. A couple of Marine divisions never went astray. Oh, our sailor division here has been flanked on 3 fronts. Wallace is going to have to get back into combat, and we need to sort of get back a bit until reinforcements come. We'll send another sailor division in. The mortars are loading and ready to fire. Our captured cannons aren't really going to be useful trying to capture this town square. We don't want to give them too much time to form up. So now that that barrage has commenced, we'll move the troops into the center of town and we'll start to really put some pressure on them. The outskirts of town are fairly secure now, and our reinforcements are in their divisions and ready to move forward. Still a substantial amount of men in the town. This first push was successful, but they've managed to regroup. And I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to get any advantage from flanking now. It's just going to have to be a straight manpower fight. If we can get an angle firing down every street, as soon as someone breaks, those units will be able to fire on other units. And everything should crumble. Similar to when we played the treasure heist mission, and we managed to steal the treasure from the chapel in the town after rowing up a stream. If you haven't seen that, you should check that video out. It's very good. It was a lot of fun. And as we continue our struggle for the city of Savannah, this eastern flank are refusing to really shatter. They keep regrouping, and it's really putting pressure on our divisions over there. They are sailors, they aren't fighting men, so they don't have the stamina that our fusiliers and grenadiers have. Oh, our dragoons are in a little bit of trouble up there. Tried to get them into a flanking position, but they're wide open. We'll use them to chase down any routing units now. There aren't quite enough of them to really pull off a charge. And we have no need for a scout. These eastern soldiers just keep pushing back. They rout, run away. We need to do something decisive to break their morale. Unit numbers are slowly whittling down. We've managed to capture one unit of militia. They've given up the fight. These skirmishers are just fighting to the last man. Mortars still putting effective fire on the town centre. Trying to bring the cannons around so they got a shot down the street, but it doesn't seem to be working just yet. Sailor Division has put some pressure on the Fusilier guarding the entrance to that town. Things are looking good. Wallace is finally running out of ammo, so we'll put him on prisoner of duty. This division seems to be underway. Everything's looking healthy. We have superior morale and firepower. And manpower. It's just a battle of attrition at the moment. Try and get these guys before they reform. Our Dragoons, they're doing pretty well. But they've only really killed 36 men. They just basically morale shock. The Grenadiers did all the work before with that charge. Getting closer to the entrance of the town. Division, 215 men have pushed into the circle. Routing militia are trying to come back and put pressure on our eastern flank. That fresh division is ready for duty, so we'll send him out to the east. Now my map references are just based on how the map lies. How the screen sits. Alright, lots of wavering units, looking good. Routing units there in the center. The militia's starting to crumble. It's only a matter of time now till we push them out of the town. Dragoons, oh, unfortunately we just lost our Dragoons. They were shattered. Fortunately we didn't pay for those, so it's no great loss. We would have got to keep them at the end if they had survived. But this style of combat, just the more infantry you have, the better. Just meat grind your way through it. Add some cannon and shot into it. These sailors just refuse to give up. They keep pushing the town centre. Wallace has rearmed all of his weapons. Some of our divisions have monstrous amounts of kills. Nearly 200 men to 7 deaths. That's crazy. 4-to-1 ratio with those guys. They've killed 1 lonely soldier. Wallace has got 60 kills to 30 losses. But the resolve to survive a flanking maneuver. So Wallace is a MVP of this mission, I think. It really is just a mopping up operation now. Most of the militia is routing out of the center of the town, so we just need to push and capture that zone. Keep a couple of divisions on the outskirts of town to funnel people away from the town. Captured cannons have taken some shots, but I haven't seen them to be too effective. They seem to be shooting into that building. And we've managed to take the town centre. Things are looking fantastic. Our objective is achieved. It's just a cleaning up operation now. Teach them the good way of colonialism. We don't want them to rebel anymore. Taxes are okay. They ain't that bad. Feeling pretty good. I don't think we took too many losses. A couple of units have lost, a quarter of their men. One unit has lost half their men. But in terms of the amount of men that were stacked against us, I think that was about 3,000 rebel soldiers. Now, if all the land engagements go like this, we might actually win the War of Independence. But that yet remains to be seen. We can't quite crack their morale, but we only need to tick down the timer. I don't want to put the speed up just in case something goes drastically wrong. And we'll just try and encircle them. Yeah, we had one shatter now. Hoping for a mass rout. Oh, the mortars have just hit our own men. Oh no, they hit surrendered militia, which count as friendly. Another 100 men for the prisoner train. There we go, another surrender in the woods. They've had enough. Savannah town isn't that interesting. Although the militia are trying to make a final push into the center. There we go, we have finished the mission. Success to the British Army, as commanded by John Jarvis. If you've enjoyed this series so far, make sure to leave a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more, because there are quite a few missions to come, and we still have the US campaign to work through. Until next time, Commander Tyrael, out.